Welcome to the State of Fintech podcast. I'm Destiny Day, Vice President at Your Public Relations. And today I'm talking with Jill Feiler, CEO of ZSuite Technologies. Jill recently stepped into the role leading a company that helps financial institutions manage the operational complexity of commercial deposits through digital solutions. Jill brings experience working across both traditional banking and fintech, giving her a practical view of what actually works when institutions try to modernize. We're going to talk about commercial deposit competition, how financial institutions can strengthen client relationships with better technology, and what it takes to help institutions adopt digital tools without overwhelming them. Jill will also share her vision for where ZSuite is headed in the future. Let's jump right in. Well, hello and welcome, Jill, to the State of Fintech podcast. I would love to start with your journey. You've worked across banking and fintech from the ground up. So I want to start with what drew you to ZSuite and what made this the right moment to step into a CEO role.
Great question right off the bat, Destiny. I've always been in banking, and then fintech followed after that. So I started, I guess I'll just flat out say so everybody can know my age, but I started in the early 90s. When I was a senior in college, actually, and I started as a teller at a bank. And back then in the 90s, that was such a fabulous job because you were busy and it was customer service and they paid better, than working in retail or, any other job that we could have. And it was not on the weekends. So as a college finance major, that seemed like a natural fit. Well, instantly I fell in love with banking and started my career there. So I was in regional banking, transitioned to community banking after I went to Graduate School of Banking here in Madison, Wisconsin, which is a fabulous program for anybody interested. And then I was working in a community bank. I was president of a small community bank outside of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and found myself as an empty nester and a single woman and thinking, do I want to live here all my life? Do I want to transition out? Do I want to kind of branch out? And I ended up working at a fintech in Austin, Texas as my first journey into the financial technology space. And it was absolutely fabulous. It was on the retail side of banking. So, and something I knew very well as I started in retail and kind of grew up in retail in the banking space. And then 4.5 years ago, I want to say, Nathan Baumeister, who was the founder and CEO of ZSuite at that time, we connected and we worked together at that fintech in Austin, Texas. So we knew each other very well, worked together previously, which, networking and those connections make a difference in your career journey. Absolutely. And I joined ZSuite as the chief client officer 4.5 years ago. So how did we get to today? Well, in July, I received a phone call from Nathan, and a quite shocking phone call, I might say, at that time, to share that he was ready for his next journey. He is just an entrepreneur at heart and was ready to make his next move and start his next company. And so conversations started with the board, and it was really the right time for me to step into the CEO role here at ZSuite. And I think what makes it a perfect fit is our company, and I think our clients that know us and our partners that work with us know that we are so client-centric. Our clients are front and center of every single thing that we do. I know all of them personally and very well. And it just made so much sense. And I'm personally so excited and so passionate about Z Suite, about what we're doing, and about our clients. And it just seemed like a natural fit from the moment after I got over the shock of Nathan making that decision. That took a minute. But afterwards, it was just felt like we all, kind of got used to it and are really in the swing of things. So it's just been really, really an exciting journey all the way through.
You mentioned something in the beginning, and I kind of want to touch on it. You said that you started in banking in the 90s, and
Sure did.
now it's 2025, and you're the CEO of a fintech. So I would imagine that there is a massive cultural dichotomy between where you started and where you are. So I would love
I
any
would say.
insights that you have on that.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, we can maybe a whole nother podcast dedicated to this glass ceiling that we're talking about that, kind of broken through. But yeah, it was an interesting time in the early 90s with women and in banking. And I was very fortunate to, along the way, have really wonderful women mentors as well as male mentors to help kind of navigate those waters through that time. And predominantly, women were mostly on the retail side of banking in the early 90s, maybe some operational roles. But really, men, were executive leaders, and men were on the commercial side of banking. And so it was, I mean, you had to work really hard in order to break through and prove yourself in order to get into those kind of departments or divisions that were historically male dominated. And so, in order to do that, I think one of the moves that I made that really I was not doing it consciously, but it ended up being the right space was moving from regional banking to community banking. Because you are able to really get your hands dirty because you're doing everything in a community bank, and every community banker knows that it's just, it, all jobs are on the table, whether it's, picking up garbage in the parking lot, being at the teller window, or being in a leadership position. And so really was able to forge into deeper leadership roles and expanded leadership roles being in the community banking space because you could really prove yourself in a more meaningful way for whatever reason that was. And that was more in the 2000s that I had made that shift from regional to community banking. So I think in hindsight, I didn't, again, recognize what I was doing. However, it ended up being the right move, and I had the right support system around me to help move into those leadership roles.
And I can imagine just like you don't know what you don't know in leadership roles, especially when there's no one to model it ahead of you and you don't have an example to go by. So it's really awesome that you were able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, one of the things back then, looking back, which I also didn't recognize at the time, was that I'm going to say this, and I'm not not sure if this is the right language, but there was this idea of kind of a token female that was in leadership roles, during those times. And I was really fortunate that those particular females, I built relationships with them, and they saw something in me that allowed me to grow and develop and really expand on what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go with my career. So whether they were token females or not token females, I was really, I really grew from that and kind of flourished in my career because of that. Obviously, we see a lot of growth, and that we don't have that that isn't the case any longer in my experience. However, definitely the times.
Well, transitioning a little bit more into Z Suite.
Mhm.
So Z Suite focuses on digital escrow and sub accounting. These are niches that are operationally heavy and often overlooked. So when you look ahead to the next 12 to 18 months, what is the core shift that you want to drive in your I'm going to rephrase that. What is the core shift you want to drive the company's direction?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so what I will say is that you are absolutely correct, is that there is, definitely an operational burden in this space for specialty deposits when it comes to escrow, sub accounting, virtual account management. And what we have always done at Z Suite is want to provide those operational teams at banks, those sales teams at banks, and then really their end user, the tools to drive efficiencies when it comes to managing their sub accounts and their escrow accounts. So that's always been, our core mission is to make commercial banking easier for commercial bankers as well as their clients. We are not moving away from that. That is our mission. We do escrow, we do it well, that's all we do. And so we are really excited to expand what we're doing. So not necessarily, a shift from what we're here to do and what we're here to drive, but expanding what we already do and what we do well. So what I mean by that is creating additional efficiencies as we, one of the things that we're really good at, Destiny, is talking to our clients, talking to end users about what's working and what's not working and what's driving value for them. And so we're always in listening mode to create what our vision is and what our next step is. And so I wouldn't consider it a shift from our values and our mission. I would consider it continuing on that track and really expanding and doubling down on what we know and what we do very well.
I would imagine that your previous role at Z Suite gives you a lot of insight into what your customers value, what those strategies are, what they're looking for, if they're looking for additional products and things like that. So I would imagine that that really kind of is powering a lot of your information in this first year.
100%. And we were very, very purposeful on how we built out our client success and client support models to make sure that we weren't a vendor and that we weren't a vendor that provided software and just said, well, you're live. Good luck. Hope everything turns out for the best. We really pride ourselves in building those partnerships and those relationships and ensuring that we are on the ground floor with strategic conversations and understanding the goals of our clients, ensuring that they're getting that. And that means helping them from a sales perspective. So we get the privilege of working with our bankers to help sell the platform. And it's just an unbelievable partnership that we've been able to develop. And the information and the feedback that we get is so incredibly valuable to help us create our product vision and our long-term vision of what is meaningful. And again, going back to that mission of making commercial banking easier. And there's no other way to do that than being on the ground floor with our clients and with their clients to make sure we understand that.
Yeah. So where are you seeing the opportunities for the most realistic growth? Kind of leaning into that idea of, helping your clients go in and sell the product.
Escrow can mean different things for different verticals, right? So when you say specialty deposits, that means a whole lot of things because escrow for property managers is different than escrow for attorneys, which is different from escrow for municipalities, right? And so the biggest growth that our clients are seeing is very specific to them. What niches do you want to enter into? And let us help you with those workflows. And if there's a regulatory environment for those specialized verticals that we can help with. And so what's really cool is that we uncover new verticals all the time. And it's so fun to be able to like deep dive into it and say, okay, we've got a general purpose escrow platform that really transcends all of the verticals, but there's this really cool thing that's uncovered that's going to drive a significant amount of deposit growth. Let's really dive in and see what we can do here to drive more value, and create those tools that bankers can utilize to go get those prospects and drive deposits to their banks.
That's really cool. It's cool that you're still discovering new things.
I know.
You know, that's always one of the things I find so fascinating about fintech is there, you know, people view banking, people view all of this as like, it's so institutional that they think it doesn't change.
Mm-hmm.
But there are constantly new revenue streams, new ideas, tons of things. Like I also, you know, I explain to people all the time, like the pandemic opened up the gig worker, right? And remote work and now all of these other areas and aspects and, you know, your financial institutions have to support you. And I just think it's so cool that we're in an industry, we're in a space that you can still find something new and interesting every single day.
Oh, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And it really derives itself from creating those partnerships with your clients because otherwise you wouldn't know. You wouldn't
Right.
know what the opportunity is out there and what we could do together. So it is. It's really amazing.
So digital escrow and sub accounts, those solve real operational pains.
They do.
What areas of your product roadmap or innovation are you most excited to see accelerate?
Yeah. So again, we're doubling down like on what we do best, which I already said, right? But
Mhm.
I think what's exciting for us is one of the things that we did in 2025 is we hyper focused, a portion of our company hyper focused on the qualified intermediary space managing 1031 exchanges. It was a vertical that drives a lot of significant deposits. A lot of banks are interested in entering into that space, and so we developed features within our platform that's going to drive value to make us the premier platform in the market for that particular vertical. And one of those things is developing our integrations. And so we worked really hard at the end of 2024 and all of 2025 to develop core API integrations so that the end users can have a real-time experience, which is so important in some of those verticals that they're able to fund and distribute in real time. And it's just so important for them. And so we were really excited that we were able to develop all of those integrations and see the value that our bankers are able to experience. And so when we're talking to those end users, when we're doing demos in conjunction with our bankers, and we can hear it. I did one today. I did one this morning where the end user was like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely fantastic. This is the best platform that I've ever seen in this space. And it's like, and we hear that all the time. And so when you can actually touch and feel the fruit of what the entire ZSuite team has done and worked so hard for, it's just so great. And getting that type of success and value that we're driving for our bankers makes us go, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So what vertical is next that we want to, really focus on to make sure that all of the workflows are there, that we can, hit some regulations potentially that they're encountering, and just continuing to help that operational burden and drive efficiencies for not only our operations teams within the banks, but the end users as well. So we're really excited about that.
So I'm curious from your point of view, given your experience, how are you anticipating having to balance the excitement of innovation with the reality of how banks and, credit unions, financial institutions buy technology? Because that process is not always quick.
No, it is not. It is not. So a couple of the things that we have really focused on to try to make that decision point easier for banks. So there's two things in particular. One is the due diligence process that banks have to go through, and that's just a challenge that we all have in the regulatory environment. In any regulatory environment, they have to do all of their due diligence. And so we have created a due diligence package that we get complimented on because it's so robust, and we want to make sure that they have everything that they possibly need so that there's not another question, another barrier to making that decision to purchase. And so we don't want that to be any part of it. We also have a full compliance team here at ZSuite that will get on any call with anybody to talk about anything that they want to talk about at any point in time, again, to make that decision process easier. So that's one piece of it. The second piece is going to be our implementation process. So our implementation team has full documentation, full project guidelines, so that anyone can review what that project is going to look like from start to finish, to kind of ease their minds when it comes to thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be so burdensome, this is going to take a year of our time. Fact of the matter is we can get, with a seamless implementation, we can get them up and running in 90 days. And a lot of the burden is on the ZSuite team. And so we really, really try to make all of that as easy as possible, and kind of ease their mind, as well as providing references and all of those types of things to get, to pull some of that, some of the barriers out of the decision-making process as much as possible.
Yeah. It's so cool to hear you say that you're complimented on your due diligence package. Like, I think that's such a cool thing.
It's a weird thing for me to say, I feel like, because it's like, who gets excited about due diligence packages? Well, we do.
Well, I mean, right, I have a background in marketing, right? So
Yes.
From my point of view on this, it's something where I can do all the marketing in the world. I can do everything I can to support a sales team. But the place where the sale is going to get hung up is in the due diligence process. And so having a package that you get complimented on, like, what a cool thing. Like, it should make your marketing team feel like every single thing that they've done is validated because you guys have a plan and you've already answered all their questions.
Right. The other thing that I will say is that our sales team is phenomenal in educating themselves on what's in the due diligence process, in the due diligence package. And they can answer so many compliance questions in real time that just solves so much time as well. And so I really have to compliment that team. It's like just really a team effort. It takes a village, right? And so all of that kind of combined, I think helps with that process.
That's really cool too. Okay, so many banks understand the why of digital transformation, but struggle with the how. You just explained your whole process, but is there an internal philosophy for helping these institutions adopt the technology without overwhelming them? Because I can imagine getting an awesome due diligence package, having all the resources, could also feel a little overwhelming. So, what's your playbook around?
Yeah. So we have a dedicated implementation team that works hand in hand with our banks. There's typically one project leader. They work hand in hand from start to finish. It's outlined. There's guidelines, milestones to hit. I think one of the things that we do really well is the introduction of our success team in the middle of the implementation timeline so that they get to know whoever post implementation, who is our main point of contact, who's the product owner on the bank side, who's the sales team on the bank side. So we can start having conversations with them about what are your goals with this platform? How often do you want to meet? What strategies are you going to deploy internally to ensure that this is successful? And how can we be a good partner to ensure that you see that success? And so those conversations start, well, actually, I'll bring up our sales team again because they do a great job of talking about all of this process so that people feel comfortable. And then I think we pride ourselves in doing what we say that we're going to do and having those conversations early on. One of the things that I think is so important is that while we do have a playbook, it's very much what works best for the bank because each of our clients are unique. And we want to make sure that we're tailoring their training. We want to make sure that we're tailoring our communication. How often do we meet? Tailoring our sales support. Do they want to utilize us? Do they want to utilize their own team? How is that going to work best with each of our partners? And so we have those conversations during implementation and then immediately go into an adoption phase where, all right, are we doing what we say we're going to do? How are we doing? Did we get our first client on? And all of those things before we go, okay. You're free. But then obviously we're still here because it's unique for each bank. If they want to continually use our sales support throughout their time with ZSuite, that's fantastic. We love that. We love jumping on sales calls and doing demos. And then some people like to do it on their own. So we want to make sure that we're having those conversations and tailoring our success and sales support to each bank uniquely.
Yeah. So speaking about tailoring everything uniquely, you're now in the CEO role.
I am.
So what are the most important leadership principles guiding you as the new leader of ZSuite? How are you managing now, not just, the client side, but leading the company overall, having the board to report to, things like that?
Yeah. So I don't know that any of my leadership principles or style has changed. I think that there's a couple of things that I always try to keep top of mind. One is, the most important one is that I don't have all the answers. Do not. And I need input and I need to rely on people in order to execute on our vision and our goals and objectives and what we want to accomplish. And so it's very collaborative, very much of a team approach. The other thing is that it's important to recognize that we all make mistakes, and that is just a part of everyday life. I mean, how many mistakes did I make today? Who knows? Probably a lot. However, it's really important to own the mistakes and say it out loud because number one, you learn from it, but number two, it drives accountability. Because if I'm not taking accountability for my mistakes, then that gives everyone else permission to not take accountability, for anything else. And I think that is critically important for any leader, for any employee, for any individual contributor, to know that because it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just okay. And that's how we learn and that's how we grow. And I would say the other important thing that I've really had to learn, and that's probably very evident in this conversation that we're having right now, Destiny, is that sometimes I talk too much. And so I have to make a very large effort to be quiet. And I will say that one of the things that I have learned it's been It's been 3.5 months now since I've taken over as CEO, and my voice is louder in this role. And it it causes people, I think, to take a step back and say, right, oh, this is what Jill said, and so this must be the right way to go because this is what Jill said, and she's the CEO. And so I have to make a conscious effort to make sure that I'm not coming across that way, because I do, in most cases, we're having collaborative conversations, and I do want to be the listener and making sure that I'm getting all the inputs.
So if we check back in 3 years, how do you want Z Suite to be talked about?
Oh gosh, I love how we're talked about today, quite honestly.
Okay.
I think, when I hear people talk about Z Suite in the market, it's very much about how amazing our product is and how we have, created so much efficiencies, how we've driven so much deposit acquisition within banks, how we've become a critical sales tool for treasury management teams. And I've heard it a number of times over the last couple of weeks where clients have said to us, "You're like family. You're like our family." And oh my gosh, that warms my heart so much. And so I think that when people talk about us today, they already talk about us as the premier escrow platform, as part of their family and their sales team and driving success. And honestly, I just want to continue that, because when somebody says we are their family, it just means the world. It means everything to this company and this team. And the fact that they're using our product in ways that makes their lives easier and gets them to their strategic goals, it's just perfection. We're making commercial banking easier, and we're thriving together, which is our mission at ZSuite.
To end this out, where can listeners learn more or get in touch?
Absolutely. So please visit our website at ZSuiteTech.com, or you can reach out to me, Jill Feiler, on LinkedIn, or shoot me an email, and we'd be happy to connect. In fact, we'd love to connect.
Okay. Well, thank you for being a guest on the State of Fintech podcast, Jill. It's been lovely to have you.
Thanks, Destiny. It's been great.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow the State of Fintech podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. We release new episodes weekly featuring the leaders and innovators shaping the future of financial technology. And if you haven't already, head over to yorkpublicrelations.com to download the full 2025 State of Fintech report. It's packed full of insights from industry leaders about where the future of fintech is heading. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.